Lewis Hamilton just felt something in Ferrari that should not be possible, because this car is still down by nearly 30 horsepower. And yet, in Monza, it started behaving like it wasn't. No new engine, no miracle upgrade, just a hidden system that could completely change how performance is created in Formula One. A rotating rear wing that transforms on the straights. A redesigned floor unlocking stability Ferrari never had. And an energy gain so powerful, it could erase their biggest weakness. If this is real, Ferrari doesn't catch Mercedes. They jump them. And what happened during those 200 kilometers in Monza might have already decided the entire season. Ferrari didn't suddenly become dangerous. They were always close. That's what made this so frustrating, and now so dangerous. From the very first race, the pattern was clear. Australia showed it immediately. A strong car through corners. Stable, predictable, capable of fighting at the front in certain sections. But every straight told a real story. They were losing time. Not occasionally, every single lap. Because the engine simply wasn't there. They were down, roughly 20 to 30 horsepower compared to Mercedes. And in Formula One, that gap is brutal. It stretches races. It destroys strategy. It turns a competitive car into a chasing car. And Ferrari felt it everywhere. China looked like progress. Hamilton on the podium. A moment that suggested things were improving. But beneath that result, nothing fundamental had changed. They were still managing the deficit. Still compensating, still surviving. And then Japan removed all doubt. Leclerc on the podium, Hamilton far behind. Same car, same conditions, but over 10 seconds between them by the end. That kind of gap doesn't come from driving alone. It comes from limitations, real ones. And Hamilton said it clearly. Ferrari is not at the front. Right now, they are the third team. That statement changed everything. Because it wasn't frustration, it was a diagnosis. And Ferrari understood what it meant. If nothing changed immediately, the season would slip away before it even began. So they made a decision, not to wait, not to develop slowly, but to accelerate everything at once. An aggressive plan, multiple test programs, different circuits, constant iteration, Fiorano, Mugello, and finally, Monza. But Monza is not just another step in development. This is where theory meets reality. 200 kilometers. That is all they have. No race conditions, no long runs, just a limited window to answer one question. Does the concept actually work? And this is why everything feels different now. Because Ferrari is not reacting anymore. They are betting on a solution that doesn't follow the traditional path. Not more power, not incremental gains. Something else, something deeper. And that is exactly what Hamilton started to feel. Because inside the car, you don't need full data. You don't need confirmation. You feel balance. You feel traction. You feel when the car stops fighting you and starts working with you. And that is what changed. Not just speed, behavior, the way the car carries energy, the way it accelerates out of corners, the way it holds stability at high speed. Subtle changes, but powerful ones. And when those changes appear without a clear mechanical explanation, that's when drivers know something bigger is happening. And that is exactly where the story begins to separate from everything we've seen so far. Because Ferrari didn't just improve the car, they changed how it creates performance. And that shift is what makes Monza so important. Not because of what we saw, but because of what it confirms. Because if what Hamilton felt is real, then Ferrari has already taken the first step towards something much bigger. Something that doesn't just close the gap, but changes how that gap even exists. And this is where everything starts to come together. Because what Hamilton is feeling is not coming from one upgrade. It's coming from how everything is now connected. Ferrari didn't just add performance. They reorganized it. They built a system where every part supports the next. And the foundation of that system is something most people ignore. The floor. Not visible, not dramatic, but absolutely critical. Because this new floor is not just about downforce. It is about control. Airflow is cleaner, more stable, less sensitive to changes in ride height. And that one detail changes everything. Because before this, Ferrari had speed, but not trust. The car could be fast, but not consistently. Not in high-speed sections. Not when the driver needed to commit fully. And in Formula One, hesitation is the difference between fighting for wins and settling for podiums. So Ferrari fixed that first. They gave the car a stable platform. A base that behaves the same way, lap after lap. corner after corner. And once that stability is there, you unlock something else. Freedom. Freedom to push harder. Freedom to design more aggressively. Freedom to take risks that were not possible before. And that is exactly what Ferrari did next. Because once the floor stabilized the car, they activated the second layer of the concept. Efficiency. Not raw power. Not brute force. Efficiency. And this is where Hamilton starts to notice something unusual. Because the car doesn't just feel faster. It feels smoother. More responsive. Like it is using less effort to achieve the same result. And that points to one thing. Energy. Because Ferrari is not just generating performance. They are recycling it. Recovering more under braking. Losing less on the straights. Deploying it more intelligently. And suddenly, the car behaves differently. Not just in one section. Everywhere. Corner entry. Mid-corner balance. Corner exit. And especially acceleration. That moment where power matters most. And this is where the illusion begins. Because on paper, Ferrari is still down on horsepower. That hasn't changed. But on track, it starts to feel like it has. Because if you recover more energy, if you deploy it more efficiently, if you reduce drag at the right moments, you don't need to match power directly. You create it indirectly. And that is exactly what Ferrari is doing. But here is the key detail. This only works if everything is perfectly synchronized. The floor, the airflow, the energy systems, every part must align. Every phase of a lap must connect. Because if one element fails, the entire concept collapses. And that is why Monza is so critical. Because this is the first time Ferrari runs all of it together. Not in simulation, not in theory, in reality, at speed, with real feedback from the driver. And that feedback is already raising questions. Because what Hamilton is feeling doesn't match what Ferrari should be capable of right now. And when that happens in Formula One, people start paying attention. Rivals, engineers, teams, because they understand one thing. If Ferrari has found a way to generate performance without increasing engine power, then this is not just an upgrade. It is a new approach, a different philosophy, and those are much harder to catch, much harder to copy, and much harder to stop. So now the focus shifts again, because if the foundation is working, if the efficiency gains are real, then there's only one piece left. One final element that turns all of this into something truly unstoppable. And also something that could shake the entire grid. And that final element is the reason people inside the paddock are starting to say the same thing. If Ferrari got this right, it changes everything. Because once the car is stable, once the energy is managed efficiently, there is nothing left holding back the most aggressive part of the entire concept. The rear wing. Macarena. This is not just an upgrade. This is the trigger. Because everything Ferrari has built so far leads to this moment. On the straights, the wing rotates. Completely. Not partially. Not subtly. It transforms the car. From high downforce to extreme efficiency. Drag drops instantly. Speed increases. But that's not even the biggest gain. The real gain is invisible. Energy. Because with less drag, the car resists the air less. And when that happens, the system recovers more energy than before. More energy means more deployment. More deployment means more acceleration. And suddenly, Ferrari is no longer compensating for a weakness. They are creating an advantage. And this is exactly what Hamilton started to feel. Because the car doesn't just accelerate. It surges. It keeps pulling when it shouldn't. It carries speed in a way that doesn't match the numbers. And that is where everything becomes real. Because this is no longer theory. This is behavior. Something the driver feels every lap, every straight, every exit. But here is where the risk reaches its peak. Because this system has to be perfect. Every time, the wing must return to its original position before braking. Instantly, without delay. Because if it doesn't, the car loses rear stability. Completely. And that already happened earlier in the season. Moments where the synchronization failed. Moments where the balance shifted without warning. So now Ferrari is balancing on the edge. On one side, a massive advantage. On the other, a critical weakness. And the difference between the two is timing, precision, control, and according to everything we know, they are close, very close, close enough to test it seriously in Monza, close enough for Hamilton to feel that surge of performance, close enough to make rivals nervous before they even see it, because teams don't wait for proof, they react to signals, and this signal is clear. If Ferrari makes this system reliable, they don't just close the gap, they flip it. And that is why the reaction is already starting. Questions, doubts, concerns about safety, concerns about legality. Because when something looks this powerful, teams look for ways to stop it, even before it proves itself. But here is the part that makes this truly dangerous. Even if this system is not perfect yet, even if Ferrari needs more time, they already have the next step prepared. ADUO, a regulatory window that allows extra engine development. And Ferrari is inside that window. They are down enough on power to qualify, which means after Miami, they could unlock even more performance. So now imagine the full sequence. The floor stabilizes the car. The wing reduces drag and increases energy recovery. The system becomes reliable. Ferrari closes the gap, and then more engine power arrives. That is not evolution. That is escalation. And that is why this moment feels different. Because Ferrari is not just improving step by step. They are stacking advantages, one on top of the other, building towards something much bigger. And if all of this comes together, if Monza confirmed what Hamilton felt, then the conclusion becomes unavoidable. This is not just a comeback. This is a shift in how performance is created in Formula One. And once that shift happens, everyone else is already behind. Because they are not just chasing speed. They are chasing an idea. And ideas are always harder to catch.